Welcome, everybody. More coming in.
I'll monitor the waiting room in the chat. I can probably do that efficiently. Let's see.
All right. One more in the waiting room, ready to come in, I hope.
Yep, I'm getting them.
Regularly admitted.
All right, great. Good evening, everybody. 2 weeks since our last Zoom meeting, so maybe there's a lot of questions that have surfaced over the last 2 weeks. Again, my name is Craig Peterman, the what am I? Program delivery partner, I think is the technical
Yes.
term. I can never get that right. Anyway, and we've got part of our a lot of our brain trust here this evening. Brian Farrell, Jay Church, Allison Conrad. So hopefully we will get all the issues out on the table and get your questions answered. As you came into the room, you should have heard that it is the meeting is going to be recorded. So Jay will do his best to get it up on our YouTube channel within the next couple of days. We are getting quite a few views online as we have the last several seasons. So we're glad that people are taking advantage of that particular resource. All right, so let's just jump right in. And if you paid attention to the newsletter today, we have the final schedule of the season posted. The last one was the Golda Meir tournament, which is now confirmed for Sunday, December 14th. Golda Meir is in the Milwaukee area. Now, if you recall or read the fine print in the newsletter, this is kind of a special circumstances type event. Yes, it's a regional. It will feed into a sectional in the following week, which, gives advancing teams 6 days to iterate. But we are trying to hold this one for teams that got to a very late start and or are very young teams, rookie teams, so to speak, or even veteran teams, but with really young kids. Maybe the whole team turned over, and it's so even though technically it may not be a rookie team, it actually really is. So if that is going to be your first preference, we are asking that you basically tell us why that needs to be your first preference. Thank you for respecting, those teams that really need that time to get themselves prepared. As you'll hear in a moment from both our head judge advisor, and head referees, we will start posting Q&A, frequently asked question documents that will be accessible both from the newsletter as well as from the BadgerBots FLL webpage. So I don't want to steal their thunder. I'll let them talk about that. As far as the next step in the administrative process, I'm aiming for the week of September 22nd to open up the registration for regionals. So for those of you that are new to the process, you've gone through the process, hopefully, of registering at firstinspires.org. That gets your team and the coaches into the system, but then to actually participate in a regional event in Wisconsin, that is a process run through BadgerBots, and it's not a Google form, but it's Wix, which makes it much easier than all the other registration processes that you've had to go through so far. During that time, each team will, or each one coach from each team will sign up and rank the preferences of which regional they want to participate in. And we'll keep that window open for roughly 3 weeks. And then the assignments will happen. If we can get it launched by the week of September 22nd, that puts us 2 weeks ahead of last year's schedule, which would be great because there's always, certain issues that need to be worked out, so on and so forth. But teams will then be prepared, or at least be notified of the event that they are going to be participating in. All right. So finally, from me, Uh, 2 weeks ago was our last Zoom. That was August 25th. Those of you that haven't or didn't participate, or haven't seen the video up on our YouTube channel, I highly encourage you to do so, and feel free to watch that with your team, at least the first half an hour. We had University of Wisconsin archaeology professor Nam Kim, happens to be my neighbor. He gave us some great information, ideas, a general background of archaeology, something that you can certainly watch with your kids, the teams, and certainly a lot of ideas of where you could take your team's innovative project. So I will continue to reiterate that over the next few weeks, as teams are still forming and developing their strategy for the innovative project. So, with all that, I will open it up to any administrative questions, season logistics, anything except judging and reffing questions. If there aren't any, that's fine. Feel free to use the chat, or if you have a specific question, my email is fllteams@badgerbots.org. It's at the bottom of just about every email that coaches get from the state of Wisconsin. All right. So without any immediate questions, let's move on to our head judge advisors. I see Mr. Brian Hicks entered the room. So we've got Brian Farrell and Brian Hicks.
Good evening. Um, as Craig alluded to, we've started this year to do some FAQs for judging and for refing. I'll let the refs spill the beans on that part, though. And there'll be links to this in the newsletter and off the Badger Bots for Wisconsin Legal League FL website. But we were following up on, initially it's primed with two questions that we had gotten. I'll cover the first one and let Ryan cover the second one, if he's good with that.
That's fine.
So the first one is wondering if paleontology is allowed to be addressed this year. Our local experts say the overlap is enough that they're part of archaeology. If kids are explaining the connection, are you okay with that? And if you look at some of the resources that have been posted, the one is the presentation from Dr. Nam Kim, Professor Nam Kim, that Craig alluded to earlier, and the other one is an Office of the State Archaeologist from Iowa. They provided some great resources in archaeology and some great information, but both of them state that archaeology and paleontology are different. So again, we go back to the definition of what a archaeologist is, and just a simple dictionary definition. We happen to pick the Cambridge Dictionary. But a problem faced by archaeologists is important to understand. What an archaeologist is and isn't. The definition of an archaeologist is someone who studies the buildings, graves, tools, and other objects of people who lived in the past. Okay, so use that as your guiding factor. We understand that some things will overlap between archaeology and paleontology or other disciplines, but that they should make sure and tie it back to archaeology. Anything to add to that, Ryan?
No, I think that sums it up.
Okay, well, you're up.
The second question that came in, and these were responded to in Slack, so they are out there also. But as Brian had stated, we are working on getting an FAQ where if you do have anything or you can't find it in Slack, you can go back to that for all the answers. The question was, how should teams approach AI use? Is working with ChatGPT Copilot to write code considered prompt engineering? So it's actually the kids' work, but basically as a question. The answer to that one, first has published a blog post on the use of AI or artificial intelligence as a guide to the teams. And in our response, we did give a link to that. So please go out and look at that. And while we agree with and support first that AI is another tool, we do want to remind the teams, please read the rubrics and consider the rubrics as you're going through this. Some examples are working with getting feedback from experts and other people and groups for your innovation project solution. Also, as a reminder that they need to be able to understand what maybe was generated with the AI and be able to explain and present that to the judges during the judging time. Did I leave anything else out, Brian?
Nope, I think that's good. I did end up, hopefully you got that, you see it shared on the
Yep,
screen,
on the screen.
just high level. For those who'd rather see it written, again, you don't have to try and, jot down or string capture that the link. It will be posted in the newsletter and in off the BadgerBots First Look League website. And it has already been posted. Well, the answers have been posted in the judging channel on Slack. So the answers are already out there, but we're going to have a central place to track it is really where we're going with the FAQs. With that, I will stop sharing.
Any questions from coaches and guests to the head judge advisors? Nothing in the chat. So let's move on to our head referees, Jay Church and Allison Conrad.
All right. Hi, everyone. So as it has been alluded to a few times now, so we also have a document for rules and such that we are going to be sharing with teams on the BadgerBots website. I cannot share it though, Craig. I don't know if you can give me permission. Sorry, I don't have permission to share screen. But we will be live updating it. Some of the content on there pertains to just mission Q&As. So do this. So we have specific Q&As for the missions themselves. Some of these are based off of the official team updates. Some of them are based off of the head referee meeting that happened recently. Definitely take a look through. It also is a living record of everything that has been happening in Slack. So if you have seen a question posted in there as well, all that will be available. The other items that I'm still adding a few in, but we're trying to also include a lot of the details that we typically cover in our coaches meetings. So the information about coming up to the board, how to handle interruptions, just good things to keep in mind. We're trying to encompass here as well. So that should all be available, and we'll be keeping this up to date throughout season. So if you have questions about something or forget if something's been asked, it should be on this document. There is one rule clarification I do want to make. Did it change my screen over to the mission rulebook? Okay, fantastic. So this was one of the big questions that actually came up in the head referee meeting. So the question related to, if it will scroll, please, hopefully. Fantastic, that went too far. But it has to do with missions 3 and 4. So the Mineshaft Explorer and the Careful Recovery missions. So as you may have noticed, these missions do share a mission model. So both of these missions are referring to the same physical mission model structure. But as you might notice, one of them has the no equipment touching constraint and one of them does not. So what we have gotten clarification on is, for example, if your team has scored in both of these missions, and let's say the robot is touching the model at the end of the match, what happens? Because mission 3 does not have a no equipment touching constraint, your team will still score for these missions as it was typically. So if you scored getting the minecart to the opposing team's field, you will still receive those points, no problem. However, because you are still touching that model, you would not be scoring points for anything on mission 4, Careful Recovery, because of that no equipment touch constraint. So just keep that in mind. If that is one of your later missions, that you really don't want to be touching that at the end because it affects 2 different missions. Jay, do you want to add on anything else from either of those notes?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hope, okay. Sorry, I don't know if it's on your document or not. I can't switch to it. But also we did get clarification that the part of the other team's mission model that comes to your table, that will not have a mission, or that won't have a equipment constraint there, even though it's part of a model on the other table that is constrained. That's considered not part of your table. That's considered the other team's model. So for instance, the part of the model on the other team that hangs over on your table, if you end their match with your robot touching that, it won't affect your score. That's the only thing I wanted to touch on that. I can't remember. Oh, there you go. Got it.
I didn't put it in this because I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if we wanted to include that, but yeah, I'm adding it in right now.
I don't know how many of these we want to do, Allison. Did you want to do the forum or like the sort of?
Yeah, we can talk about the forum quick. So I'm actually going to use this document. I'll fill that out. So we did have to get some clarification on the forum as well. So let me see if this document wants to scroll nicely now. We will find out on what is considered the forum itself and what is not. I've almost got it.
Almost.
It's really trying. There we go. This is actually not the best photo to show it. Generally speaking, so because the forum has no equipment touch constraint, how it interacts with other models nearby is a little strange. So I will do my best to explain. This is written out in the tips from the ref document, so you can reference it there as well. So surrounding the forum are three things. There is the statue rebuild model, and then two, what I'm calling rock formations. Touching the statue rebuild or either of those rock formations does not count as equipment touching the forum mission. So therefore, if your robot bumps into that rocky outcrop and is touching it at the end of the match, that in itself will not negate points for that mission. Additionally, each item in the forum is considered separately for that no equipment touching. So say your robot drops off the brush in the topsoil and it happens to be in contact with the brush at time equals 0, the brush would not score, but the topsoil would for the forum mission. I think that was all that we had clarified on that one, correct?
So any of the artifacts that you have in the forum, once they're transported over to the forum, the no touch constraint is for the forum, and it doesn't. How do I say it? So
They're
it
not
doesn't
part of their
carry
original
out the
mission
original
model.
mission, right? So, say the mine cart, you're touching the mine cart at the end. You won't get points for it on the forum, but you would still get points for it on the previous mission because they're part of 14 and not part of 3 or 4. I don't know by heart which ones have that constraint, but hopefully that's clear enough.
I think that's all I had that I wanted to call attention to
I
today.
think so. Yeah, and guys, so definitely when this list gets published, go out and read it because there's a ton of good stuff in there. Allison literally gave you guys all of our cheat sheet notes. This came directly
I
from
edited a little.
well, I mean, this is like from a 2-hour head referee thing and all the other conversations we've had and clarifications from first. So this is actually going to be kind of our Bible throughout the year. So definitely go take a look at that. And thank you for doing that, Allison.
Mhm. Any questions on anything we've just discussed or anything else referee table wise that we haven't addressed today? Okay.
For any questions then about anything.
Where will the document be found? Off of the newsletter, right, Craig?
It'll be in every newsletter, the link, not the document itself,
Right.
but the link. And then at badgerbots.org, we have an FLL page with all kinds of resources. The links will also be there as well.
I'm sure it'll make its way to Slack at some point also.
Correct. Yep.
The links will be in. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Brian.
Maybe just less of a question and more of a comment. So you guys were talking about the AI use. We were playing around with that after that post came out this week. Something that we tried this week that I think worked really well for my kids was to have them bounce ideas with ChatGPT about how to solve a mission model. It seems to have an understanding about the models by name by the year. So if you say it's like unearthed, trying to solve the forum or the whatever, you could ask it questions about like how would I solve this kind of model, or what are some ideas or some real world mechanisms that are like this that would solve this kind of a thing, and it would give you enough information where it would start to turn some ideas. So it threw out like, here's a half a dozen ways that you could solve it. Some of them were a bit nonsensical. But what was really cool was the kids were able to ask questions then of ChatGPT that they might be asking me normally, and they could kind of bounce ideas back and forth. And what they got to see was like some of the stuff it puts out is silly, which is good for them to recognize and learn about ChatGPT and other AI tools. But some of the things that it put out were kind of interesting, and then they had to go try and interpret it and go still make the model and the apparatus to go do the mission. But I thought it was a really fun way for them to interact with the tool and still have it be that all of the work that they were doing and all of the like, how do they turn it into a physical device was still all theirs. And it actually felt freeing for me that it wasn't like I wasn't trying to balance out like how much do I help them and how much do I stay away. They were able to do all of that on their own, kind of interacting with the tool. So I thought that was really cool.
Nice.
Well, that's actually good to hear because Brian and I both use it for work.
I do
And
too.
yeah,
Yep.
it's another tool, but it's not 100% accurate. So
Mhm.
you do have to go through the results, make sure it's what you want as an output. So it really is another tool. So once they learn how to use that, they'll be more efficient with it.
Yeah, and we made a rule on our team. We are not doing vibe coding like that. No, no go. I see that too much at work. So it was like, no, we're not doing that. But the idea of being able to use it to ideate and how do we use it to be an idea generator as opposed to a solution maker.
Great. Thank you.
I can take that question. So, question in the chat. Mission 12 salvage operation. The sand is considered completely cleared from the model when the pull activator is in the right position. So the scoring criteria for that mission has nothing to do with the physical sand itself. It solely has to do with the activator. A little bit less whimsy than I would like for my scoring, but that is the criteria we will be basing it off of. No problem.
And so just so you guys know, that information comes from the blue text in the missions. If you look at the missions in the rule book, you have the blue text, and that tells you specific criteria or methods that need to be used. So pay attention to that as well.
Yeah, it's been getting us this year. They added that for this season, and there's a lot of good information in that blue text.
Yeah, it's good. And I guess, you know what, it seems like we're not too busy, I'll go through this as well. So whenever there is a multiple scoring condition, this season, they don't have, so it's actually listed in there as multiple scoring conditions. If one depends on the other, it'll have, the second one will say bonus, and it'll say and. So, and again, I'm sorry, I don't have a rule book in front of me, but so before it was like, okay, do we need to have this in order for the second part to count? So if it has the word bonus in the second part and it says and, oh, there we go. Thank you, Allison, to the rescue.
Like this one.
Yeah, there you go. So where it says bonus, so these are separate, or this is contingent. The second bonus part is contingent on the first one being scored. And on 12, you can see they're separate completely. So sand is cleared, ship is completely raised. They're independent. So If you can do ship is completely raised without the sand being cleared, you get points for that.
Yep.
So I do like the
And
way they did that this year.
yeah, that's been helpful. To answer your question in the chat, John, so mission 7, can the robot drive through the home area to reach the mission from the back? Absolutely. The only rule on that is that the robot must be launched from the launch area. So the quarter circle, red or blue, robot has to be launched from there. It can drive through your home all you want. Just make sure that it is not being touched by anybody while it is in there, because then you will have to relaunch. So if robots driving through your home area to get to that mission, student touches it, it's misaligned, whatever. Because it is in that home area, it would not be a touch token, assuming it's completely in it. But it would be a relaunch condition, if that makes sense.
Yeah, or even worse, it's not completely in home and you touch it, and then
Yeah.
that's you lose the token and it gets relaunched. Yep.
Yeah, we had this a lot with the shark last year, I believe, where teams would be driving through their home areas to get to it, just based off where it's placed. It's totally fine. I would be cognizant of if you have big attachments or jigs or anything like that, that the students know to keep them out of the way while they're driving around in there.
So, guys, you understand as well. So the robot has it can go in and out of the home area. It can go in the home area, pick up something, and take it out to the forum without you having to stop it. So if you have something staged in the home area and your program says the robot comes back, grabs it, and then goes and drops it off somewhere, you don't even have to stop your robot for that. So you can, I mean, the robot can go in and out as long as you want it to go.
John, did that answer your question? Just to make sure that we've got it. Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Open
Anything?
mic. Any other questions? Going once, going twice.
Oh,
Oh, wait, you have a
Oh,
question?
one just
Thanks, Peggy.
do you do anything
I
in the competition match to keep them flat? No, other than
no.
so most of the time, well, all of the time, the competition tables will be set up the night before. I don't know of any ones that'll be set up in the morning of, so they should be set up the night before. If we're talking about like tape or anything, we don't tape our mats. So yeah, I get what you mean. I've heard someone say that the mats were lifting as well.
We tend to have more issues if we add adhesives than if we just leave them be,
Yeah, it's
because
just not.
then you have sticky things on your mat, and that tends to be worse.
I mean, we tried the tape, when they first allowed it, and it was impossible for us to maintain mats throughout the season. It's just, you remember, you have teenagers most of the time putting these together, taping them down, taking them back apart, and I mean, we've had mats completely rip, and yeah, it's just not a thing. I'm wondering.
Chad, you could try reverse rolling it.
Yep.
And then lay it out and just let it kind of relax a little bit. That tends to help. We often do that when we're unrolling them right away. But to Jay's point, we do tend to leave them out overnight so they get that relaxing.
And the
You
good
don't get
part
to
is,
do that with a team meeting.
sorry.
Mat, but you don't get to do with a team mat, but the competitions, that's what we do.
And so when they're left out overnight at the competitions, most of the time, all of the models are there too. So it does help weigh it down. I will bring up one more thing that I saw. It wasn't a question in our group, but I did see it on a Facebook page. Some people were having issues with their mats not being centered, like the cut of the mat, there'd be a 1/4 inch more on one side than the other. Okay, so here's what we do with that, guys. There's a really, really easy fix for it, and courtesy of Eric Orlowski, who's not here. In the middle north side of the mat, there is a red arrow. That's the center of the mat. If you take your table, measure your table, find exact center, take a little paint marker or something and put a line on that wall, you can easily center your mat just by sliding your arrow over to that line. Okay, so that works really, really well for us. We've been doing it for a few years now, and it's great.
One other thing, Peggy, we've noticed with the Muskego mats that the diameter we roll our mats to does affect how much they try to stay rolled up. So we have like a slightly larger tube diameter, and that seems to help quite a bit with not making such a tight curve at the ends.
Well, let's try one last round of questions, if any. I don't see any. Um, so then I guess we'll call it an evening. Pay attention, everybody, to Slack. Pay attention to the newsletters. This season seems to have quite a few updates and changes, nuances, more than the prior two seasons. So that would be my recommendation. Pay attention to the details. So everybody have a great evening. Good luck with your teams, and we'll see you next week. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Right.